The world has gone crazy. What do we do? I guess all we can do is listen to the Alpough Show, the human spirit experiment. He'll help us. He'll know what to do.
And welcome to Alpough, the Alpough Show, the human spirit experiment, which we are all part of. It is 9 o'clock Pacific time. This is your late night news update on all the craziness that has gone on in the last 2 days. Holy crap. Holy crap. Just a few things here. The disinformation big platform just dropped. Now all of a sudden, what's that lady's name? I don't know. Crazy lady. I guess she wasn't doing her job of giving the information that turned into disinformation. Now, today we had a show at 4 o'clock. Also, we were supposed to have at Haru tonight. But she had some technical difficulties with her computer. And so we will be having her on tomorrow. It's one of our 3 shows. So today earlier, we talked about the most powerful man in the United States. What do you think that is? The most powerful man in the United States. If you didn't watch the show, you need to watch the show. Okay. So who's the most powerful man in the United States? If you guessed Jerome Powell, you guessed the right guy. And because he is in charge of the Federal Reserve or central bank. What makes him the most powerful man? Because he controls our money and we have no vote. So a number of things occurred here. They had a meeting, the Federal Reserve yesterday, and interest rates have already been raised twice this year, and the biggest rise in 22 years. So they're going to be doing it 4 more times this year, raising the interest rates a total of 3%. Now, they're going to have another meeting next week, so we do not know what we are in for. And with interest rates at over 8%, plus coming an extra 3%, who's going to be able to afford a house? So get ready to start saving your money, figure out a way to get out of debt, and we will be talking about that more. Speaking of debt, there is a $40 billion bill that's left on the table for us to send to Ukraine. Now, where do we get the money? The United States has spent almost $6 trillion in the last 3 years for COVID. We are absolutely $30 trillion in debt. And yet, where are we going to spend and send this money? Since 2014, Ukraine has received $60 billion in help from the United States. So at this rate, I think it's going to be $100 billion or more before the end of the year. So where does that leave us? Well, I have a clip here I want you to take a look at. I think it's an interesting clip because it's a comparison between how we're supposed to give these guys some money and how it's affecting us. So we're going to go into the courtyard, the court, Senate, and listen to Chuck Schumer and Rand Paul. And I think you should take a look at it. I think it should be interesting. Okay, so this is on the floor, bringing up how much should be paid to Ukraine.
That the only amendment in order be the Paul amendment, which is at the desk, that the Senate vote on the Paul amendment with 60 affirmative votes required for adoption, that the bill be read a third time, and the Senate vote on passage of the bill as amended, if amended, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, all without intervening action or debate.
Is there an objection?
Madam President,
Senator from Kentucky.
reserving the right to object, my oath of office is to the U.S. Constitution, not to any foreign nation. And no matter how sympathetic the cause, my oath of office is to the national security of the United States of America. We cannot save Ukraine by dooming the U.S. economy. In March, inflation hit a 40-year high. Gasoline alone is up 48%, and energy prices are up 32% over the last year. Food prices have increased by nearly 9%. Used vehicle prices are up 35% for the year, and new vehicle prices have increased 12% or more. Yes, inflation doesn't just come out of nowhere, it comes from deficit spending. The United States spent nearly $5 trillion on COVID-19 bailouts, leading to one of the highest and most sustained levels of inflation in U.S. history. Americans are feeling the pain, and Congress seems intent only on adding to that pain by shoveling more money out the door as fast as they can. This bill under consideration would spend $40 billion. This is the second spending bill for Ukraine in 2 months, and this bill is 3 times larger than the first. Our military aid to Ukraine is nothing new, though. Since 2014, the United States has provided more than $6 billion in security assistance to Ukraine, in addition to the $14 billion Congress authorized just a month ago. If this bill passes, the U.S. will have authorized roughly $60 billion in total spending for Ukraine. For those who say this is not enough, for those of you in this chamber who say that our military spending is never enough, let's put $60 billion into perspective. According to Elias Youssef, a security assistant at the Stimson Center, Kiev would become the largest yearly recipient of U.S. military aid of the past 2 decades. Except for the top 5 countries, $60 billion is more than every other country in the world spends on their entire military expenditures. If this gift to Ukraine passes, our total aid to Ukraine will almost equal the entire military budget of Russia. And it's not as if we have that money lying around. We will have to borrow that money from China to send it to Ukraine. The cost of this package we are voting on today is more than the U.S. spent during the first year of the U.S. conflict in Afghanistan. Congress authorized force, and the president sent troops into the conflict. The same cannot be said of Ukraine. This proposal towers over domestic priorities as well. The massive package of $60 billion to Ukraine dwarfs the $6 million spent on cancer research annually. $60 billion is more than the amount the government collects in gas taxes each year to build roads and bridges. The $60 billion to Ukraine could fund substantial portions or entire large cabinet departments. The $60 billion nearly equals the entire State Department budget. The $60 billion exceeds the budget for the Department of Homeland Security and for the Department of Energy. And Congress just wants to keep on spending and spending. Our allies and partners have sent aid to Ukraine. Some of them even broke long-standing traditions by sending military assistance. Germany, Poland, the United Kingdom, and others are stepping up to defend Ukraine like never before. In other words, it's not all about us. It isn't that we always have to be the Uncle Sam, the policeman that saves the world, particularly when it's on borrowed money. Yet the United States accounted for nearly half of what's been spent so far. With a $30 trillion debt, America can't afford to be the world's policeman. The U.S. is trying to recover from the $1.6 trillion we spent on wars in the Middle East, not to mention the $5 trillion borrowed for COVID. We should not forget that the Soviet Union collapsed in large part, not because it was defeated militarily, but because it ran out of money. In an attempt to save Ukraine, we will doom, or will we doom the United States to such a future? In the past 2 years, the U.S. has borrowed more money than at any time in our history. We are already experiencing the greatest rate of inflation in over 4 decades. The assault on monetary discipline is untenable, and it cannot go on forever. Unless we put an end to the fiscal insanity, a day of reckoning awaits us. Congress should evaluate the cost of continuing down this path. The biggest threat to the United States today is debt and inflation and the destruction of the dollar. We cannot save Ukraine by killing our economic strength. So I act to modify the bill to allow for a special inspector general. This would be the inspector general that's been overseeing the waste in Afghanistan and has done a great job. So therefore, I ask the senator to modify his request so that the Senate proceeds to the immediate consideration of Calendar 368 HR 7691. Furthermore, that the Paul amendment that has to be considered and agreed to, the bill as amended be considered read a third time, and the Senate vote on passage of the bill as amended with a 60 affirmative vote threshold for passage.
Does the leader so modify his request?
Reserving the right to object. It's clear from the June.
So here we are, and let's talk about some other facts that's going on right now, such as the middle class, which is the name of the show. Is the middle class is now the little class. So in the middle class, if you're part of that and you've been around a long time, I've been around. I'm almost 60. I'm 65, and the middle class wages have not increased in literally 40 years. So in 1971, 61% of the United States was basically middle class. Now, the reason being is because of women's lib. So now became a 2 household income. And so now the government, or Mr. Rockefeller, could now tax 2 people in the family, which is darn near double the money. So in 2016, the middle class dropped to 52%, and now it's about 43. So 43% is less than half is now the middle class. And that average wage is about 50,000, 53,000. Okay. 6%. Okay. So what's happened in the middle class is more debt. Okay. Now you have to be, instead of the middle class, you have to be upper middle class to produce what the middle class produce. You have to be upper middle class now. All right. And the reason being is because of more debt. So we are paying the debt, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that's why inflation is so high. Is we're paying the 6 trillion to 30 trillion that we're actually now in debt. And the reason why we're in debt is because of student loans and also credit cards. Now, the middle class has no savings. The middle class has no retirement savings. Now, the middle class is also living longer. So this is putting a burden on the Medicare and Social Security and food stamps. So now the average went up to $20,700. Inflation has grown higher in the last 40 years. Let me give you an example. This is a gallon of coconut oil. Now, this coconut oil was $25, which is still kind of expensive. But as you can see, it's $37.90. So you just round it up to 38, right? That's about 40% a rise. Now, here we are with gas. The gas pump in Arizona is $4.81, and that is not true. The national average is $4.52. I was at the gas station today, Circle K. Circle K. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay. Where are we at? Well, it's not coming up. Maybe hold on. No, it's not coming up. Okay, so the average in Arizona is 48.1, but today at Circle K I saw it for $4.99. $4.99. Only California is higher. People are hurting here. We're having food shortages. And what's interesting you're seeing food lines with people with brand new cars. So basically, we haven't had much financial growth over the last 5 decades. So now how can we afford to send another country $40 billion? And if you look at the rate, that's what is it? $53 billion in the last couple of months. Well, what does that escalate to? That sounds like $100 billion to help Ukraine. Now, you do know that Russia's military budget is $69 billion. So we're going to send them more than what their budget is. Why are we doing this? Just wait them out. Instead, I guess we're all just putting the mask over our eyes and not seeing what's really, really going on. And that is inflation is killing us. It's the great robbery, ladies and gentlemen. The great robbery. Look at Grandpa. Look at him. He looks like a grandpa, doesn't he? But he is the most powerful man in the world. So now what do? Well, now it's time to settle back and do whatever you can to get out of debt, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We have to prepare for it. We have to start putting away some food. Go on Craigslist or somewhere and get you a freezer. Start buying food on sale. Buy it on sale and then save it up. Because you're going to save rice and beans. You don't have any flavoring. And that's not going to be cool. And I would say a minimum of 6 months. And I know that's not easy. It certainly isn't for us, but we're grinding away at it. And I hope you do too, that you grind away on it. Because the only way is we're going to get through is together. The only way we're going to get through is to be of spiritual mind. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to build your spirit up through the love of mother. We all come from a mother. Of course, the Holy Spirit is a mother. That's the only thing that makes sense. So the love that we have for each other, the love that we have for our spirit, which connects us to Sophia, the closer we'll get, we will be blessed and we will make it through. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back tomorrow with 1 or 3 broadcasts. We'll be talking about news. We're going to be talking about Hedda Rue. Hopefully she can give us some words. Tomorrow's going to be harmony, bringing harmony in your life. So I want to thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Know that I love you. I hope you love me. And that love will keep us together and alive. Until then, Alpough Show out.